purpose of today's experiment is to prove that the object behind me, the laser glass, is home to an observable, predictable, supernatural force.
This is my series to dissect films, the ones people argue about years later, the ones that inspire confidence in some viewers and deep frustration in others, the ones that don't fail loudly but quietly unsettle expectations and leave audiences divided about whether what they just experienced was clever, cruel, or simply incomplete. Oculus is one of those films. It is often described as smart horror, psychological horror, elevated horror, before that term became a marketing strategy. It's the kind of movie people cite when they want to prove that horror can be intellectual, restrained, and emotionally serious. And yet, for all the praise it receives, Oculus is rarely called satisfying. People don't leave Oculus exhilarated. They leave unsettled, irritated, or quietly defeated. They admire it more than they enjoy it, and that distinction matters. Oculus is a film that dares the audience to challenge perception, memory, and certainty. It wants to convince you that reality is fragile and that understanding the rules will not save you. That ambition is real, and it is sincere. Sincerity does not always guarantee harmony between idea and experience. This is a movie that believes control is an illusion and designs every aspect of its story to prove that belief. The question is not whether it succeeds in making the point. The question is whether proving it was worth the cost. Enter director Mike Flanagan, tasked with bringing his vision to horror fans. The question is, would they see it? Or would it freak them out more than Kaylee and Tim were when they saw Katie Sackhoff as their demonic mom?
Let's get down to brass tacks.
So get ready to stare at a creepy-ass mirror for way too damn long. See your dad become a poster boy for deadbeats. Don't get too weirded out that your red-headed sister has seemingly thought of everything this evil force could throw at you. And never trust what you see, because there's no way that anything good will come from fighting a power that literally makes you see and do anything that it wants. Here are the reasons why you hate Oculus. Number 1, story. The definition of Oculus is a circular or oval window, a circular opening at the top of a dome, and also an eye. Making a film centered around a mirror comes with a whole set of production difficulties because everything is reflected in the mirror, but Mike Flanagan didn't flinch at the challenge. Oculus tells its story through fracture. Time does not progress cleanly. Memory is not reliable. Cause and effect blur until the audience is forced to question not just what is happening, but when it is happening and whether it is happening at all. This structure is not ornamental. It is the spine of the film, and at its core, Oculus follows the two siblings, Tim and Kaylee, whose childhood was destroyed by a series of violent events centered around the antique mirror known as the laser glass. Years later, Kaylee believes that she understands what happened. Tim, recently released from a psychiatric facility, believes he finally understands why he believed something impossible. The story places them both on opposite sides of the same trauma, each convinced that clarity lies in a different direction. The narrative alternates between past and present with increasing frequency, drawing parallels rather than contrasts. The childhood timeline is not presented as exposition, it is presented as recurrence. Events echo, overlap, and intrude upon each other, creating a sense that time itself is unstable in the presence of the mirror. What makes Oculus distinct from many haunted object films is its refusal to treat the supernatural as an external invasion. The mirror does not announce itself with spectacle, it insinuates. It waits. The story emphasizes patience over aggression. The threat is not immediate violence, but erosion of trust in one's own senses. Kaylee approaches the mirror with preparation and strategy. She believes knowledge creates immunity. She documents patterns, establishes safeguards, and treats the situation like an experiment. The story positions her confidence as understandable rather than arrogant. She is not reckless, she is methodical. That methodical approach is essential to the film's thesis because it allows the story to dismantle control systematically rather than chaotically. Tim's perspective counters this approach. His experience with institutionalization has taught him that belief can be more dangerous than denial. He wants to move forward by refusing to validate the mirror's influence. His skepticism is not dismissive, it is protective. The story does not portray him as ignorant or cowardly. It presents him as someone who has already paid the price for believing something that could not be proven. The tension between these two approaches drives the narrative. The story is not asking which sibling is right, it is asking whether either position offers real safety. As the timelines begin to overlap, the answer becomes increasingly grim. The mirror functions as a narrative destabilizer rather than a plot engine. It does not push the story forward through action, it pulls it inward through distortion. Scenes that appear to resolve quietly unravel seconds later. Decisions that seem logical are revealed as misinterpretations. The story trains the audience to distrust resolution itself. Importantly, Oculus does not escalate in the traditional sense. There are no rising stakes measured by body count or spectacle. Instead, escalation is psychological. The more the characters believe they understand what is happening, the more the story undermines that belief. This creates a unique form of tension that relies on frustration rather than anticipation. The structure demands attention, but it also withholds reward. Answers are not revealed, they are destabilized, and the film avoids giving the audience a firm foothold, choosing instead to replicate the sensation of gaslighting. Reality is not replaced, it is rewritten moment by moment. As the story progresses, the mirror's influence becomes less distinguishable from human error. This ambiguity is deliberate. The film is not interested in proving the supernatural exists. It is interested in demonstrating how easily certainty collapses under sustained pressure. The horror does not come from what the mirror does, but from how the characters respond once doubt becomes inescapable. The intercutting between timelines is precise and it is relentless. Childhood trauma bleeds into adult confrontation until the two become indistinguishable. This is not a puzzle designed to be solved, it's an experience designed to be endured. The story does not reward close observation with mastery, it punishes it with deeper confusion. By the midpoint of the film, the audience understands the rules well enough to recognize that the rules do not matter. The mirror does not need to break them, it only needs to exploit belief in them. That realization is where admiration for the film often peaks and enjoyment begins to fracture.
And you blew it! You blew it!
The story of Oculus isn't concerned with a victory, it's concerned with inevitability. It treats preparation as just another form of vulnerability. Knowledge becomes a liability rather than a defense. The more structured the plan, the more devastating its collapse. This approach is bold, but it is also alienating. The story denies the audience the satisfaction of progress. Each revelation closes off more possibilities than it opens, and the narrative moves forward only by stripping away confidence. That design choice defines Oculus entirely. It is a story engineered to remove hope without spectacle and to dismantle logic without chaos. Whether that is effective or exhausting depends on how much resistance the audience is willing to endure before disengaging. Number 2. Characters. Oculus places extraordinary weight on its characters because the film removes almost every traditional horror safety net. There is no antagonist in the conventional sense, no external force that can be confronted and defeated through courage or ingenuity. What remains are people attempting to navigate trauma while trusting tools that are fundamentally unreliable. The characters are not vehicles for spectacle, they are mechanisms through which the film tests belief itself. Kaylee Kaylee Russell is the engine of the film's momentum, and her defining trait is certainty. She believes that understanding is protection. She believes that documentation, preparation, and logic can tame even the most irrational forces.
Inconceivable.
Big mistake.
Weird.
This belief is not portrayed as naive or arrogant. It's portrayed as earned. Kaylee has lived with unanswered questions for most of her life, and those questions have calcified into a need for resolution. The mirror represents not just a threat, but the opportunity to reclaim narrative control over her own past. What makes Kaylee compelling is that her confidence is disciplined rather than impulsive. She does not rush into confrontation. She plans, researches, and builds contingencies. Her approach mirrors scientific inquiry, and the film presents this as reasonable. This is crucial because it prevents the audience from dismissing her downfall as foolishness. Kaylee does everything the audience expects a smart protagonist to do, and it still does not matter. Her flaw is not recklessness, it is rigidity. Kaylee believes that if variables are accounted for, outcomes can be controlled. The mirror exploits this belief by introducing uncertainty that cannot be measured or anticipated. And as Kaylee's confidence erodes, the film does not show panic so much as recalibration. She keeps adjusting her framework rather than questioning whether the framework itself is the problem. That persistence is both admirable but also fatal.
Admirable, but mistaken.
Karen Gillan was the first choice to play Kaylee, as Mike Flanagan was a big fan of her work in Doctor Who from 2005. She was confident in her portrayal and yet displayed vulnerability. She had a sensitivity in her eyes, something that just seemed out of reach because of her determination. Karen has shown a great range in her career, and that's very true. Oculus provides an adequate challenge for her acting, and she delivers.
Sheesh.
Karen Gillan also had to wear a wig for additional scenes, as she had cut her hair for Not Another Happy Ending in 2013, and after production concluded, she shaved her head for Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014. Tim Russell represents the opposite response to trauma. Where Kaylee seeks mastery, Tim seeks distance. His years in psychiatric care have taught him that belief can destroy lives just as easily as denial. Tim's survival strategy is to reject the supernatural explanation entirely, even if doing so requires reframing his own memories as delusion. His calm demeanor is not rooted in confidence, but in exhaustion. He wants stability, not truth. The film treats Tim's skepticism with respect. He is not positioned as ignorant or cowardly. He is positioned as someone who has already experienced the consequences of believing something no one else would validate. His reluctance to engage with the mirror is not denial in the traditional sense. It is self-preservation. Tim understands that obsession, even when justified, can be corrosive. The tragedy of Oculus is that Tim and Kaylee are both responding rationally to the same trauma in incompatible ways. Neither approach is framed as morally superior. Neither is granted narrative protection. The film refuses to reward belief or skepticism, presenting both as incomplete defenses against manipulation. Bretton Thwaites was fine, although in the first half of the movie he seemed a bit underplayed. Part of that is the character of Tim, and some of it is the acting choice itself. He is supposed to be a subdued person, but comes off uninterested more often than not. The parents function less as independent characters and more as reflections of the siblings' future selves. The father embodies the slow collapse of authority and trust. He begins as controlled, logical, and distant, gradually unraveling as certainty slips away. His descent mirrors Kaylee's trajectory, demonstrating how reliance on reason alone can become brittle under sustained distortion. The mother represents emotional vulnerability stripped of agency. Her fear is not analytical. It is intuitive and immediate. She senses danger without understanding it, and that lack of understanding renders her powerless. The film does not portray her as weak. It portrays her as someone whose instincts are correct but insufficient. Awareness without control offers no refuge in this story. Katie Sackhoff's portrayal of the mother was subtle and bathed in sadness. She is being betrayed by her husband slowly, and she knows it. As much as she wants to turn the other way, she can't. As the audience, you root for her, but there is no chance to escape the laser glass.
We're fine. It is not in the file. It is not. You son of a bitch!
What unites all four characters is their belief that clarity will arrive if they endure long enough. Each one assumes that the chaos is temporary, that the distortion will eventually give way to the truth. Oculus dismantles this assumption relentlessly. The characters do not grow closer to understanding as events unfold. They grow further from each other. Trust becomes collateral damage, not because anyone lies intentionally, but because perception itself becomes suspect. The film's greatest cruelty lies in how it isolates its characters emotionally before it isolates them physically. Conversations break down not through conflict, but through misalignment. Each character believes they are acting reasonably, and that belief prevents genuine communication. The horror doesn't come from violence between the characters, it comes from their inability to inhabit the same reality long enough to protect one another. Oculus doesn't allow its characters to evolve in ways that offer relief. Growth in this film is indistinguishable from entrenchment. The more certain each character becomes about their chosen approach, the more vulnerable they are to manipulation. Flexibility might offer safety, but flexibility is impossible when reality itself is unstable. Number 3. The Mirror. The mirror in Oculus is not frightening because of what it shows. It is frightening because of what it withholds. Unlike traditional haunted objects, it does not rely on spectacle, shock, or overt aggression to assert dominance. Its power lies in manipulation, not force. The mirror does not attack, it convinces. What distinguishes the laser glass from other supernatural devices is that it never competes with reality, it replaces it. The film is careful to avoid framing the mirror as an invading presence that disrupts normal life. Instead, it integrates itself seamlessly into perception. The characters are not dragged into hallucination. They slide into it while believing they are still in control. The mirror's influence operates through suggestion rather than command. It doesn't tell the characters what to do. It allows them to arrive at conclusions that feel self-generated. This distinction is crucial because it preserves agency just long enough for that agency to become meaningless. The characters believe they are choosing, adapting, and correcting course. In truth, they are responding to stimuli curated specifically to undermine trust in their own senses. The film refuses to define the mirror's rules in concrete terms, not because it lacks imagination, but because fixed rules would imply boundaries. Boundaries suggest limits, and limits suggest vulnerability. Instead, the mirror's behavior adapts fluidly to the character's expectations. When they rely on logic, it distorts logic. When they rely on emotion, it exploits emotion. The mirror does not need to overpower its victims. It only needs to remain one step ahead of their confidence. What makes this manipulation effective is its subtlety. The mirror rarely produces overtly impossible imagery at first. It alters small details, timing, and continuity. A moment lasts longer than it should. An action feels completed when it is not. These minor disruptions accumulate, eroding the character's ability to distinguish mistake from interference. The film understands that doubt is more corrosive than terror. Perhaps the mirror's greatest weapon is patience. The mirror does not require faith, it requires engagement. Every attempt to monitor, test, or record its behavior becomes another opportunity for distortion. The film is careful to show that the mirror does not fabricate reality wholesale, it rearranges it. Events still occur, but not in the order or manner the characters perceive. Cause and effect remain intact, but interpretation collapses. This creates a form of horror rooted in failure rather than physical threat. The question is not what is happening, but how anyone could ever be sure. Oculus does not ask the audience to fear the mirror, it asks them to experience what it feels like to lose the ability to trust their own cognition. That experience is intellectually fascinating and emotionally punishing. It replaces adrenaline with anxiety and replaces terror with resignation. By the time the mirror is being tested in the film, The mirror has already won, not because it has killed anyone, but because it has dismantled the very concept of control. The characters are still standing, their plans are still in motion, but the foundation beneath those plans no longer exists. Director Mike Flanagan has included the Oculus mirror as an Easter egg in most of his movies and TV shows. It's in the basement of Ouija, Origin of Evil, the headboard in Gerald's Game, the walls in The Haunting of Hill House, and the Overlook Hotel in Dr. Sleep. Number 4. Finale. The finale of Oculus does not escalate in the way most horror films do. It contracts. Possibilities narrow, options collapse, and the illusion of agency disappears quietly rather than violently. By the time the story reaches its final stretch, the audience is no longer anticipating surprise. They are anticipating confirmation. What makes the ending so difficult for many viewers is that it is not chaotic, it is precise. Every outcome aligns perfectly with what the film's internal logic is. Nothing contradicts what has been established. Nothing feels random, and yet that coherence is exactly what makes the conclusion feel merciless. As the mirror's influence peaks, the story abandons the pretense that preparation matters. The safeguards, the documentation, the contingency plans all exist, but they no longer function as protection. They function as evidence. The film demonstrates clearly that understanding the pattern does not grant immunity from it. Recognition arrives too late to alter the trajectory. The final sequence strips the characters of interpretive power entirely. Perception and intention diverge completely. Actions are taken with confidence and resolved with irreversible consequence. The film does not dramatize this divergence with spectacle. It allows the realization to arrive after the fact when correction is impossible. That delay is devastating because it mirrors the way real mistakes are often recognized only once they have already reshaped reality. The most punishing aspect of the finale is its emotional alignment. The audience is not positioned above the characters watching their downfall from a place of clarity. They are positioned alongside them, sharing the same uncertainty until certainty arrives in the worst possible form. The film does not invite the audience to feel clever for noticing patterns. It punishes pattern recognition by rendering it useless. Seeing the siblings pass and what they had to endure while hoping for them to succeed in the present provided a very engaging viewing experience. The depth of shock and failure when Tim unlocks the anchor weight, killing his sister, was an absolute gut punch. I felt beyond bad for both of them and the fate that they just could not escape. That being said, the final resolution does not hinge on a twist designed to shock. It hinges on inevitability. The ending feels less like a reveal and more like gravity asserting itself. Everything that happens feels earned, not because the characters deserve it, but because the system governing the story demands it. The mirror does not need to win creatively, it only needs to remain consistent. And this is where Oculus becomes deeply polarizing. For some viewers, the ending is honest. It completes the film's argument without compromise. Control was never real. Preparation was never sufficient. Trauma does not resolve through confrontation alone. For others, the ending feels punitive. It denies catharsis. It denies victory. It denies even meaningful resistance. The film does not offer redemption through sacrifice or wisdom through loss. It offers repetition. Trauma replicates itself. Violence echoes backward and forward through time. The cycle does not break. It continues unaltered by insight or effort. This conclusion is not meant to be comforting. It is meant to be faithful to the premise. Poor Tim, destined to be locked away. The horror in his eyes is an absolute mic drop for Flanagan. Oculus does not believe that horror should reassure. It believes horror should destabilize. The ending refuses to allow the audience to reassert control through interpretation. This is why many viewers admire Oculus more than enjoy it. Admiration comes from recognizing precision. Enjoyment comes from emotional release. The film prioritizes the former at the expense of the latter. It completes its conceptual arc flawlessly, but completion leaves little room for relief. The final image doesn't linger because it's shocking, it lingers because it is absolute. No ambiguity left to explore, no puzzle to revisit for comfort. The film closes its argument decisively, and that decisiveness feels suffocating. Oculus leaves you with admiration, frustration, and a lingering sense of futility. It is a film that demands respect rather than affection. It asks you to accept that preparation can fail, that perception can betray, and that some systems are designed not to be beaten, but to be endured until they erase you. This is why Oculus stays with people, and that is why many wish it didn't. At the end of the day, Oculus gives us a different vision of horror from Mike Flanagan that was beyond frustrating, and we as fans must deal with it. You have to ask yourself, was this the type of film that you can enjoy? That is a question only you can answer. As always, this video is not here to make you love Oculus or to hate it. It's simply a discussion to highlight the history and aspects of it, good or bad, with you, the viewer. So what do you think? Are you a fan? If so, tell us why. If not, let's discuss why you hate Oculus. If you haven't hit the like button for more content, please do. If you're not subscribed to the Night Watch Zone, this is the time to do it and become part of this fantastic movie community where you'll never love and talk about movies the same. If you like this video, check out all my other Why You Hate videos and other content, including live streams here, and I'll see you there. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.